Hey everyone, it's EJ from My Design, and today I'm here to tell you about a preset for Cinema 4D that I've been working on and gonna unveil today. It's called Text Edge Effects, and it's gonna be a must-have tool for you if you do a lot of text, 3D text inside of Cinema 4D, or logos, 3D logos inside of Cinema 4D. It's gonna save you a ton of time. It's gonna give you a ton of really gorgeous results. You're gonna make some really cool things with this, and it's a snap. It's a quick and easy way to add custom bevels to your 3D text or 3D logo and really give it some pop. Here's some examples that I made to demo it. So some really cool looking text, and this rope effect that I got as well. And if you look on my blog, there's all these images there for, it's really endless amount of options for really cool text looks and logo looks. So let's dive right in, show you how this thing works. First off, when you get the product, you're gonna download a .lib4d file, and you can see it right here. Basically all you got to do is just go navigate to your cinema folder, wherever you have it in applications, whatever. Go into your library, go into browser, and you just drag the text edge effects.lib4d file in there. Restart your cinema and go look in your content browser, which I already got open over here, and should be under your preset list here. So, and what you're going to see is you're going to have a spline edge effects and a text edge effects. The text edge effects works with just the 3D text, and I'll show you that first. The spline edge works with custom splines that you can add, you can extrude and add bevels to. So I'm going to show you the text edge effects real quick. And right away you can see you have all your basic text options that are in your normal mode text objects. You can go, and it's already got a bevel applied to it. So right away you can type in whatever, and automatically you can see that the edges update and go right along the edge of that font. You can adjust the height, you can adjust the depth. The nice thing about this is we have an option where you can have a front and a back bevel. If you decide to go with both bevels and you do the depth, the back bevel follows real nicely. And you also have cap settings, which you're familiar with as well, where you can add your fillet caps and adjust that. So nothing new there. If you go into your bevel options, now you start and getting the meat and potatoes of what you can do with this thing. So you have your whole list of spline objects that come with Cinema 4D. If you go through some of these, you can get some. You can start to see some really cool bevels going on already. Do a render real quick. So literally with a few clicks of your mouse, you're already getting something that looks pretty cool so far. And with each of these native Cinema 4D spline objects, you have full control over all of the options for each individual spline object. So you have this flower object, you control the petals, the inner radius, outer radius. Another thing is for each object you can control the overall scale, which is nice. And you also have an option for a Z scale. So say you just wanna use let's turn off. If you go into visibility options, you can see all the visibility options, also the subdivision settings. So we're gonna turn this back bevel off. We're gonna go into our bevel options, and we're gonna go to our offset and just push this back. And so you using that Z scale comes in really handy when you just want to use one bevel and kind of stretch it out and get some cool effect like that. So render this one out. So like I said, really easy to get really cool results really fast, and an endless amount of options. You can spend days and days and days, and you can use this tool for a year and probably not even get even close to scratching the surface of the types of bevels you can get with this tool. So there's the flower object, and you can use your normal Cinema 4D objects, and I also threw in a bunch of custom bevels as well. You've got this frame one that looks like a let's bring down this Z scale, bring this up. So I mean, this looks like an edge of a picture frame basically. So there's the kind of picture frame kind of look, and you can see that we have this breaking up of the geometry. We need to add some more detail to it. So whenever you want to do that, just go to your visibility options, and you can choose between all of these different uniform, natural. But if you adjust the angle, you can see you're adding more subdivisions, so that's going to smooth out that geometry. I'm going to leave it high for now. Let's go into the bevel options again, and you also have a rope function, which is really nice in conjunction with if you really jack up this end scale really high. And let's go back to our visibility options, and whoa, don't want to go that far, but you can already start seeing that you're getting a kind of rope effect, or like an old school phone cord. Remember those? And I also made it where if you play around, I mean, this is just this preset. If the more you play around with it, you'll find out some really cool options. So using the flower object, I've found that if you throw like a steel looking kind of texture on this, you can get some almost like a drill bit kind of look to it. So there you go, you got the drill bit effect. Let's bring down the rotation, set this back to normal. Let's go to let's bring that down. I don't need it so high. So yeah, if you use the Phong angle, you can get some the lower the Phong angle, the sharper the edges you can get when you render it. Let's bring this up again. Okay, so that was using the end rotation, which comes in pretty handy. You also have normal rotation. You can actually rotate the entire spline object. So using that, let me bring this back again. So using that kind of drill bit kind of look, you can actually start to animate that kind of spinning, which is pretty cool. One other thing is, if you want to get that drill bit or the rope or whatever cool kind of thing you come up with, nice thing is you can turn off the text and just have that that bevel showing, which is a really cool feature. So let's turn everything back on. Let's bring that back down and bring this back up again. So there's that. So there's a ton of really cool options to get really cool looks. Cogwheel, I've found some really cool looks as well. You got your offset for front and back independently, so you can have you can layer your bevels as well, and change the colors by just simply, you have your bevel color you can change, and you have different color. You can do different colors for both the back and front if you want. You can change them manually up here as well, and also the front cap, back cap, and the actual text color. So just change it to gray, change it wherever you want, change the back bevel to orange. You got the front to yellow. Really simple, really easy, real intuitive. It's just working the way you normally do inside a cinema. Nothing too crazy. So you also have individual scale spline controls, so you can change the scale. If you hold down control, you can add another point to the spline. So if you want it skinny in the middle and large at the end, you can see you have that kind of like tapering effect going on as well. Okay. And we have this growth option as well. So you can animate the spline coming, drawing on, or have it in an isolated letter right there. And you can also have multiple instances of this preset. So if you want to just have, say you just want to work with one letter and get a kind of effect where you only have bevel on part of your letter, you can do that. You just have to make a different text edge effect instance for each one to get that really fine-tuned control for each of your bevels on your letters like that. Let's switch this back. So, and same thing with the scale. You can have the rotation, have different rotations along the spline as well. So that's a ton of options right there that'll keep you busy for quite a long time. So, and visibility options, you have your text, visibility, just front, or just the back bevel, or no bevel at all, which is kind of pointless considering that's the whole point of this thing, is to have a bevel. So you want one of those on. So, like I said, you can just have the bevel on, so you can have a really cool, like I made this rope look. So that's how you go about that. You have your angle limit on your Fong, so you can get really sharp edges. Say if you want to use, let's use a 4-side. That'll get some. Let's reset that. Reset that. So you have a sharp edge. If you bring this out, you can see that it's the shading on it. It's kind of rounding out. It's kind of smooth. So when you're working with, or if you want to have really sharp bevel edges, make sure you bring that pretty far down to get some really nice sharpness on the bevel here. So I'll render this out real quick, and you see the sharpness. So there's the sharp, and you can see how it looks like if it's low rounded. The shading gets kind of all wonky. So you can see it's a little bit smoother there, so something to be aware of. But if you use Cinema 4D a lot, you already know what Fong angle does. So you have the fillet caps for each of the front and back of the text object. I'm going to show you a really nice effect to actually get bevels look flush to the text, like I did here, where you just have the same material on the bevel and the object itself, on the text object itself, so it looks like just one whole object with a really nice bevel on it. So I'll show you how to do that. Let me go back in here, go to visibility, turn our text on. We just need the front bevel on right now. And so usually you'll have to go in and kind of fine tune with the bevel offsets to make sure that, and also mess around with the bevel scale a little bit to make sure whatever bevel shape that you have foreside right now, that it matches up pretty flush. And now we can go in and change all of the text elements to the same to the same material. So we did that, and like I said, make sure this works best when you have the fillet caps on, because that adds that. If you turn it off, it doesn't work so well. So you want to have that on. So let's do a quick render here. So that's looking pretty good. I need to just bring it just a little bit in, a little bit more to get rid of that edge. Let me try this with show you a different option. Let's go back to the flower shape. Like the flower object gives you some pretty cool results. So let's just go back in here and make sure we adjust the bevel really nice and flush to the actual object. So let's bring the bevel scale down. So as I said before, it's really helpful to have the fillet cap on, because then you can really start to see how it's working. So let's bring this in just a little. Right, that looks like it should work. So let's just zoom out a bit, render. So there you go, nice and flush against there, so it looks like you have just one whole object here. So really cool. So you just gotta make sure that you go in and make sure the bevel that you choose is flush to the object, and just kind of scale it down to match the edge of your font. So as if all that wasn't enough to keep you busy for a while, we also have, I'm going to delete this, we also have spline edge options as well. So I'm going to drop that in there. It's basically the same exact settings as the text edge effects, except instead of the text, you bring in your spline. And right now that's set to a cogwheel, but if you go into, say, Illustrator, if you work in local news, you get the cheesy local news channel station logo, so I just made a 4 and added a little embellishments to the 4. You gotta make sure when you save out of Illustrator that you go and you save it as an Illustrator 8 file. So that's okay. You can go back into Cinema, delete the cogwheel. I'm going to import that 4 that I made. Going to go merge, go find the file. There it is. Hit open. You want to. I need to connect splines for this case. So comes in. Just gonna zero that out so it's in the center. And I'm going to go and then drag the 4 logo into the spline setting, into the spline, custom spline field, and there you go, boom. You got your extruded with a cool looking bevel on it, and all you had to do was throw it in there. You can go in and change the colors, all that good stuff. I'm gonna actually clear clear all this stuff out. So we only have the materials for the caps, spline and bevels. So like I said, you have your same fillet caps options here. You can still go in here and let's use a cogwheel. This time we're gonna do our little trick where we make the bevel flush to the object so it blends. Let's adjust these settings. I'm holding down Alt Option key to get the fine-tune controls of just going by 0.1 each clip each time I click. So that's looking pretty flush. I'm going to then change the text color to match the spline. So we got some crazy orange going on. Render, zoom out. So there you go. Already you got that nice bevel going on. Same settings in the text edge effects settings. You can adjust the Z scale, move that back. You can go into visibility, turn off the back bevel. You got your subdivision, Fong, same exact setup. The only thing that's different is you're just using a spline instead of a text spline. So all in all, it's pretty powerful preset. It's gonna save you a ton of time. I'm working with text every day, and I basically built this out of necessity to just speed things up, and it's helped me out a ton. It's gonna help you out a ton, and it's gonna be a staple in your workflow from this point forward. I guarantee it. So go play. I mean, I've been playing around with this thing and been coming up with some really cool looks to add to your logos or your text, and you can make some really cool stuff really super fast, really easy. So have fun with it, and thanks for checking it out.